Evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. It is 7 p.m., and I call the August 8th, 2022 School Board meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Wopat, would you please call the roll?
Jennifer Deek,
Here.
Gary Dunlop,
Here.
Chris Lau,
Excused.
Bridget Todd Robbins,
Here.
Brian Wopat here, Barb Wench,
Here.
Alan Fox.
Here.
Okay, with 5 of the 6 school board members present, I declare a quorum. I note that the agenda has been posted, distributed, and sent to the local media. With this in mind, are there any changes to this agenda? I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as published.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Brian has moved and Barb has seconded to approve the agenda as published. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as published, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying nay. The motion to approve the published agenda has passed. And do we have any public participation tonight? Okay, so no one has registered as a public participant for this evening. So we'll be moving on to recognition and thank yous. Dr. Mueller.
Yeah, tonight I am very proud to highlight our Holmen Area Foundation is here, and they're here to present a check to the school district. Each year, they have the annual Mike Schmitz Memorial 18 Holes for Holmen Golf outing, and they're here to share how that went and a little bit about that. So if they would like to come up, and Mr. Sackett, Mr. Luloff, come on up.
Hi, everyone. My name is Beth Gamoki, and this is Kevin Baird, and thank you for having us from the Holmen Area Foundation. We serve as both the Educational Foundation and the Community Foundation for Holmen. First off, we'd like to thank outgoing AD Mark Englerth for all his help and collaboration over the years, obviously Naomi Rislow and Matt Sullivan and other staff and students that helped out gathering items for baskets and raffles and everything else, volunteer work that happened that day. And we'd like to present the check to our new AD, Jason Luloff, and to the high school principal, Wayne Sackett, and the whole School District of Holmen Activities Department. The check is $5,836.25.
Wow.
We want a picture before, you can stand right over here.
And then the rest of you can get up and get ready to join. I'm serious.
Three, two, and one. Thank you, and then we'll
Okay.
grab one with the
The board.
full board with you as well.
And Alan, you're part of the board.
You guys take care. Oh.
Yeah, there we go. Find your spot.
A couple more on this side over here. Perfect. All right, ready? 3, 2, and 1. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Beth and Kevin.
And so we want you to mark your calendars for next year's event. Thank you. Wednesday, June 14th, 2023. And I also must mention it is our 25th anniversary this year for the Holmen Area Foundation. And so we have a big community celebration coming up. You'll see signage about a week beforehand. So we will have a fun run and walk, free food, games, and music for the entire community, and special announcements, including lots of projects, 25 projects to celebrate our 25 years, lots of money going to the community. The first one happened today with our backpacks that we donated to the Boys and Girls Club of Holmen. So we hope to see you all there. Thank you.
And the date is Saturday, September 17th. 10 until 1, and the fun run is at 8 o'clock, or 9 o'clock registration at 8. So if you know anybody who wants to go out for a nice walk on the bike trail, please invite them. Thank you.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, thank you. Okay, moving on to reports and discussion. Dr. Mueller will present on the resolutions related to the referenda. These will appear on the August 22nd consent agenda.
All right, good evening. So starting the presentation tonight, I always like to bring us back to our purpose and why we're here. This is our vision, belong, serve, succeed, our mission, core values of the school district, and the areas that we focus on, and this is how we go about making decisions. So it's always good to ground ourselves in our work and who we are and what we do. So this evening, what you're going to see here are 3 resolutions. This is our first resolution, and what this resolution is, it is $650,000 to cover the ongoing operational and technology costs. This is in April of 2019, voters approved a non-reoccurring referendum of $450,000 for 5 years. This will expire after the 23-24 school year. So $450,000 of this would be reoccurring to continue the maintaining that technology. And then $200,000 would be used for ongoing operational costs associated with maintenance of our facilities. We do have other buildings with sinking funds, some of our newer ones, Sand Lake and Prairie View, and we would like to continue that with some of our other district facilities to keep them maintained in well-operating conditions. What I want to note, though, this is a recurring referendum question, it would be. There is no designated end date to the authority of the board to tax for the amount. This is an exception to the revenue limit. I would point out that we don't always request reoccurring referendum questions. As you could see, our past one was non-reoccurring for the technology. We have had 5, including the technology referendum of non-recurring referenda, and 6 recurring referenda. Many of them were for operational. We had an operational when we did our addition onto the high school for the operational expense of staffing and keeping it clean and maintenance, as an example. So the board needs to carefully consider whether recurring or non-recurring is the correct form of the question. In this case, because the cost will be ongoing, the recurring nature is the best option. The board does recognize the community idea that this will never end. The board represents the community. It's the duty of the board and administration that serves the board to annually recommend and approve or disapprove the levy amount. So it doesn't have to be levied. It's a choice that's made annually during the budget development process. So only the amount needed to deliver the services consistent with the referendum question or consistent with the community's expectation needs to occur. So in regards to the idea of it never going away, I would suggest that the board not levy for more than that's acceptable to the public. If the public thinks that's happening, they have every chance each year and at elections to remind the board what they should be doing. The board does not have to do this every year, but rather makes the decision annually like it does every budgetary decision. So this is the first resolution. The second resolution is in regards to bond issuing. So this speaks to $74,750,000 in bond. What the board would be authorizing with this resolution is the sale of the bonds in that amount and the authority to tax to pay back the bond amount. So here you can see the item includes, as this is very close to how the question would be worded on the ballot, that it would be for the facility improvement projects at the elementary schools, mainly at Evergreen Viking Elementary, with some minor at Sand Lake and Prairie View that we had talked about with the playgrounds, and then also the middle school. It would be for renovation, building infrastructure, capital maintenance, safety, and site improvements. So that is the resolution number 2. Then, Bond Council also recommends that so Bond Council has been a part of this and reviewed it to make sure we would be in legal requirements of everything. And they also recommend advancing the resolution for this board's consideration, this resolution number 3. This is actually to hold the election. The first 2 questions are the resolution for the referendum questions themselves, where this third resolution says we will have a referendum election and explains how we will notify the electorate, discuss the polling places, referendum election officials, and what the ballot form will say, and how we will canvass election results afterwards. So, with that, this is the resolution 3, as I had spoke, polling place hours, election officials, ballot form, canvass, basically saying we will follow proper procedures and make sure we do this fair and correctly with all requirements. So lastly here, this is what a potential referendum question would look like then. So question 1 would state, shall the School District of Holmen, La Crosse County, Wisconsin be authorized to exceed the revenue limit specified in section 121.91 Wisconsin statutes by $650,000 beginning with the 2024-25 school year for recurring purposes consisting of expenses related to building maintenance and technology. So that's how you would see that on the ballot in that. And then referendum question 2 would look just like this. It looks very similar to the resolution that you saw. I don't need to read it all, but it is for bonding in the amount not to exceed $74,750,000 for the public purpose of paying the cost of a school facility improvement project at the elementary and middle school buildings, consisting of the renovations, infrastructure, capital maintenance, safety, site improvements. Construction of an addition at Evergreen Elementary School, that is what we had shared about the nutrition expansion of the kitchen, and reconstruction of an older portion of the middle school, which we had talked about, often referred to as the 6th grade wing, or I want to say that is the oldest part of the building, west side, an acquisition of furniture, fixtures, furniture, and equipment. So with that, that was a lot of information. So what would happen is tonight, this is just for your review in that and to ask any other questions. But procedurally, what we would do is we would bring these same resolutions forward for the board to consider for consent at our August 22nd meeting. Our timeline is they would have to be consented on and approved at that meeting, so we would be able to move forward with the referendum ballot if so desired. So with that, questions?
Any questions? Okay, I think
Okay,
everyone
all righty.
looks good.
All right, well, thank you.
Okay, so next up, I will present on the board resolution regarding step placement of Holmen educators. This item will appear on tonight's consent agenda. So on tonight's consent agenda, the board is bringing forward a clarification to step placement for Holmen educators. As a reminder, the March 22 resolution indicated that adjustments may take up to 2 years to complete. This timeline is still being honored. Letters sent in June of 22 that communicated the change in pay from the March 22 resolution have been finalized. The educators that received a letter in June with an increase will see that on their first payroll for the 22-23 contract. With this clarification, the Board of Education directs the administrative team to place educators on their appropriate step on the wage matrix based on their years of experience in Holmen as an educator, in addition to their initial educator step placement at the time of hire. The dollars necessary to complete this resolution will be outside of total base wage and will be considered supplemental pay. No employee should go backwards in this plan. Staff will work with individual employees to assure appropriate step placement. And these final step adjustments will be implemented July 1, 2023, to be effective the first payroll of the 23-24 contract. So, I guess, are there any questions? Okay, then we're going to be moving forward with the consent agenda items. For the consent agenda, the board has been furnished with background materials on each item or has discussed it at a previous meeting. These will be acted upon with one vote without discussion. If a board member wants to discuss any item, it will be pulled out of the consent agenda and will be voted on separately. Are there any items we'd like to pull out?
I would like to request 9.4.
Okay, Brian's requesting 9.4. Are there any others? Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda excluding item 9.4.
So moved.
Gary? Do we have a second? Okay.
Second.
All right, so motion by Gary, seconded by Barb. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda excluding item 9.4, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion passes. Okay, moving on to item 9.4. And Brian, you are abstaining due to conflict of interest, is that correct? Okay. All right, so do we have a motion to approve the board resolution regarding step placement of Holmen educators as presented?
So moved.
All right, Gary?
Second.
And Bridget. Okay, Gary has moved and Bridget has seconded the motion to approve the board resolution regarding step placement of Holmen educators as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve the board resolution regarding step placement of Holmen educators as presented, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion passes. Okay, next we're moving on to the board debrief. First, I will call upon board members and ask you to present any comments or committee reports you have. So Gary, we'll be starting with you tonight.
Well, there's no finance committee meeting this month yet, and be sure to vote tomorrow. It's important that everybody gets out and places their vote and gets recognized. And the first football game is the 18th of August at home already.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Okay, Bridget?
I would also encourage our community to get out and vote tomorrow. In addition, I wanted to acknowledge a few, one former student, Kennedy Tisdale, and a current student, Justice Brazelton. They participated in an event called the August Ball Saturday night, and really were a part of really making history in La Crosse County by representing Holmen High School in the first August Ball since 1887 to be held in La Crosse. So very proud of those two individuals.
Okay, thank you. Brian?
I'd like to thank the Holmen Area Foundation for their time and their effort that they put towards all their fundraising that they do to be able to supply and provide teachers extra means of being innovative in the classroom. Thank you.
Okay, Barb?
Same thing, just wanted to thank the Holmen Area Foundation for their support that they give our district.
Okay, Alan?
I'd like to echo Mrs. Wench and Mr. Wopat on the thank you for the Holmen Area Foundation, the fundraising they do. I'd also like to, again, remind, like Mr. Dunlap, the first football game. It's a home game, 18th of August. It's going to be a very exciting one. Hopefully we can take a victory. And then this Wednesday, there is a picnic hosted by the Student Council for the start of the school year. Besides that, nothing else.
Okay, thank you. I too would like to thank the Holmen Area Foundation. I also wanted to mention that before this meeting, we had candidate interviews for Rebecca Reber's seat after she had resigned. And the results were 3-2 that Maggie Smith was selected and she will now have 5 days to decide if she is willing to serve on the board through April 2023. And if Maggie chooses to do so, she'll be sworn in at our August 15th, 2022 board workshop meeting next Monday. And lastly, I just wanted to remind other board members to be thinking about committees that they would like to be on for this upcoming school year. So I believe that's all I have as well. So moving on to the board meeting schedule. So we have a board workshop next Monday, August 15th at 5 p.m. And then the following week, we have our regular board meeting. August 23rd, we have the back-to-school kickoff for all employees. And then in September, our board meetings are on September 12th and September 26th. And lastly, the WASB Fall Regional Meeting and Workshop in Onalaska will be held on October 27th. So is there any other business that needs to come before the board at this time? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, Brian has moved and Barb seconded to adjourn the meeting at, computer's not on? Is it 7:22 p.m.? Motion carried. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed signify by saying nay.
No,
Motion passes.
I'm staying.